Next up, batting cleanup for lunch is David Kain. And David is president of Kain Automotive, a training consulting company that specializes in automotive internet sales, business development centers, digital marketing, and social media. He has a unique background that includes automotive retail and OEM executive leadership. During his 20 years in retail, he served in various positions, including general manager at Jack Kain Ford, where he remains a dealer partner. His OEM experience includes being a co-founder and previous COO of Ford Direct. While David primarily provides in-dealership training and consulting, he's an active speaker at many industry events, including the NADA convention, driving sales, and digital dealer. He's presented internationally for Mercedes-Benz China in Shanghai, Ni Hao, and Fanabrov Dealer Convention in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and was featured as an international speaker at the AADA convention in Australia. A quick online search turned up the following. David has the greatest hair of all time. I am jealous. Here we see Dave on Car Biz Today. Doesn't he look like he's delivering the sports? The next photo, we see Dave trying to emulate Todd Smith with the beard. Very nice try. And then this last photo defies explanation. Here we see our previous speaker, Todd Smith, and he has a cardboard caricature of David Kain to inspire him from behind. So it's kind of like his little angel that talks to him every day on his shoulder. I was talking to David, and he shared something with me in confidentiality. He said, Mike, he says, I could never escape from prison. I said, why is that, David? He goes, because I always run towards the spotlight. Please give a warm, innovative dealer summit welcome to David Kain.
Thank you.
The big green button.
Appreciate it. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you all letting me come out here and visit my son who goes to school at UC Boulder. So this has been really nice because I rarely get to travel with my wife, but I got to bring her, and she's out enjoying the city, and I get to come on here and present and learn. So awesome to be able to follow all these great speakers that we've had today. It's always a good learning environment, and I love when some of you are taking digital notes and some of you are actually writing things. And it's also fun to see some of my customers out in the audience, because I've been to Weld County Garage, and I've been to Planet Automotive, and I've been to Champ and some of the other stores, the Beaux-Arts operation. So this is a fun place for me to be, and I just appreciate the opportunity. My very first Colorado customer, though, was Land Rover Flatiron, so I'm very grateful for Ed for having us out here and introducing us to this wonderful environment. So thank you very much for having me. So we're going to talk about digital sales at the peak, and I thought that was probably appropriate for this audience. And we heard from Darren that there really is no internet, so I can get rid of those slides. And Todd talked about some things, so I can get rid of those slides. So we're going to narrow it down, and I'll probably just tell some jokes with Mike towards the end of it. So thank you very much for that opportunity. I want to take you to Tampa, Florida, to a dealership where I was presenting to a group of managers, and there were about 50 of them in the room. And this dealer group happens to be 122 years old. It's a Furman Automotive Group, and really well-run operation, just perfect people. They also have 5 Harley-Davidson stores to go along with their 14 franchise dealerships. So I'm a real hopeful guy. I don't have habits, I just have hope. So I like to use the word hope when I'm presenting, and I'll say, guys, I hope this light's okay. I hope the sound is comfortable, and I hope you all can sit through for 20 minutes of me talking. So I'm speaking to this group, and at the first break, the dealer principal comes up to me and he goes, hey, listen, I need to tell you, we don't use the word hope in our dealer group anymore. And I said, well, I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known that coming in. And he goes, well, in 2008, 2009, when the market took a turn for the worse, we stopped hoping for better results. And we started making plans and having expectations. And he will not allow his managers to give a presentation about what their goals are without them framing it this way. My plan is to increase sales. And my expectation is that we're going to accomplish this plan by doing these things. And it changed my whole perspective. And so now I have a habit, I've done it 66 days. I now use that when I'm working with dealerships, and I use that in my own work, and I'll throw that over the fence from Preston Ferrier. I think he'd appreciate knowing that I said that. So let's talk about what it takes to get to the peak. Success is up there, but sometimes it's very difficult to achieve. So luckily, when I started this business 14 years ago, I came out of a dealership environment, then I went to work with Ford, and I appreciated the opportunity to work in the OEM environment for 3.5 years. That was a great learning lesson. But what really prepared me for what I'm doing today was the lessons I learned from my father. My father and Jeff go way back. Ironically, Jeff Carlson was telling me that Dad was the onboarder for him when he first came on to the NADA. Well, my dad's 87 years old, and he retired from being the NADA director for the state of Kentucky after 21 years. Now, all of you all who want to retire at 65, remember my dad started his NADA journey when he was 66. So I curse him for that genetics because I want to be really lazy. And I'm a little worried that I'm going to have to be carrying the mantle for a long time. But what he taught me was you got to have the path to get to the mountaintop. There's a lot of different ways to get there. So what I'm going to share with you all today is of all the countless dealerships we've worked with in our business, this is the way they've achieved great success. So you got to start with the vision. And typically, and I will say this with great confidence, that means it starts at the top of the house. When I go to talk to the dealer principal, I go in and do internet training, phone training, digital marketing training, but I have to meet with the dealer and say, what's the future look like? If this training works, what will we have accomplished a year from now? What road would we have crossed that would have made you feel like the journey is worth it? Would we sell more cars, make more money, have greater market share, maybe have happier employees? All those things. We want to know what the vision is because that's the inspiration. That's the fuse that gets lit that causes people to want to go forward. Additionally, we've got to have the financials. So I always like to go into a dealership and compare it. So I ran our dealership for 12 years, and it was a 7-page Ford financial statement. Mike knows him well. He counsels Ford dealers all over the country. It was 7 pages, and as a general manager, I knew what caused every number. I would bring our management team in, and we'd sit down and we'd go through every equation, and I knew everything that went in there. But I'd take it into my dad's office, and I would present it to him, and he'd flip through it, and he'd get to the, what was it? The bottom line? He looked at one line on this line-heavy statement, and if we were doing well, we went to lunch. And if we didn't do well, he went to lunch. And that's kind of how it worked in our environment. And so when I started working with dealer principals, I would go in and they would say, our conversion rate is good, our bounce rate is low, our close rate is high, our show rate is good. And I'd say, do you even know what that means? And he goes, no, man, I was just at another conference and I heard that. But since you're the digital guy, I was coming in, I wanted to say those words so you didn't think I didn't know what you were going to be doing. And I'd say, well, let's talk about what you want to talk about. And he'd say, man, I want to sell more cars, I want to make more money. And I'd say, that's what I can help you do. If you will give the fuel to your team to do what is necessary to achieve it, we're going to accomplish great things. So what I like to do is to break it down into the real tangibles. We've got to get people in the door. Now I know, Darren, they don't walk in anymore, right? They hoverboard in, and thank goodness I'm at this Innovative Summit, because we are going to write a job description. I'll throw it over to you. But ultimately, we've got to get people who want to come to our dealership. And people say all the time, well, we want to sell them at their house. We'll take it to their house. And I always say, you need to make being at your dealership sound like the smartest thing they can do today, this month, this year. Because if they come in, we're going to have 500 cars, 200 cars, 100 cars to share with them. We're going to have an opportunity to have managers, owners, used car appraisers, look at their vehicle, professional finance people available. We need them here. So we've got to have a high level of kept appointments, which will then turn into annual sales. So we're happy more people came in. We sold more cars, but ultimately, it comes down to the bottom line. Do we make money? So I've got this spreadsheet, and I'll make it available to you all to run your own numbers. But what we're looking for dealers to understand is this is big time income. And I oftentimes sit with internet and BDC managers, and I say to them, think back to high school and how bad you might have misbehaved. Would your teachers today look at you and say, you're running a $3 million operation? And they're always like, no, man, I was drunk most of the time, right? I never went to class. I don't even know math, right? So the truth comes out. We have a lot of people who are a little blown away that they're running those kind of operations because they've never been provided the financial data to know whether or not this is a profitable operation. We've told them, you just concentrate on getting people in the door. But boy, this sure sheds a light on it, and it causes people to really dial in. So ultimately, we have to couple that with what's important to the customer, what we call the experience. And customer experience has become really a buzzword for the industry. If you were at NADA, you heard an awful lot about customer experience. Well, it's changing, and people say to me all the time, millennials expect different. I don't know about y'all, but I love me some millennials. I think they're awesome. I don't want to work too hard. I want to have weekends off. I want to be able to say, I'm not feeling fulfilled in this work. Give me a raise. Keep me. If I was brave enough at 56 years old, I'm like, crap, how did I miss that lesson? That's what my teachers needed to teach me. Have expectations of my boss. But it's true, but I think like a millennial. I want it to be very easy for me. All of our customers do. I really think it's all about buying a car in the most friendly, easy manner possible. And if you look at things like Carvana, and Mike brought that up this morning, and I loved his expression that the industry is changing. I am a car dealer. I was raised from the time I was a baby. My picture was on my dad's credenza helping him close deals as a baby. I've got 8 brothers and sisters. Man, we were a force. My dad would be on a tight deal and he'd turn those pictures around and say, are you kidding me? We can't come to terms? What about my 9 children here? All right, so the fact of the matter is, this is all I know. And as a car salesperson, I want to sell a lot of cars. I can't sell a lot of cars if I'm in a clunky system. I need a very fast system. I want to be able to go out there and sell a lot of cars on a Saturday. Had a salesperson told me the other day he sold 8 cars in one day. I said, wow, that's remarkable. He goes, yeah, it wasn't so good. I could have sold 12. Our system couldn't keep up with my production. And I think that's part of the reality check. We're not doing this so much for the consumer. We need it for ourselves. Can you imagine Walmart saying, oh, we just have one lane? Which is true. They only just have one lane most of the time. But the fact is, if they had more open at the opportune time, they'd sell a lot more stuff. So I love when you create a process that is noteworthy of a brand. So I want to point out my friend Mark back here with Champ. I remember when they came up with the one price, one person, 1 hour, carbine redefined. And of course, now that they're out there, I've seen every variation. One car, one price, 1 hour. One person, one price, 1 hour. They really set the stage, and I love that trend setting. I love the carbine shortcut, the iDriver program. All of those are a way to let the consumer know it's easy. Just make it about you, and they'll buy into it. Here's the organics of it. If you buy into it, your customers will. And if your customers start to, then all your employees start to believe it's accurate. Speaking of employees, I want to talk to you just candidly about structure. Motor companies are out there, all of them, and there's plenty to go around, and they want us to have BDCs. Well, I've seen one person BDCs, I've seen 20 people, 50 people BDCs. Yeah, you can have them. I think they're great. They're good business for myself, they're good business for Jennifer, Alan Ram. We all love BDCs because it fuels our pump, so to speak. But the fact is, it's more about the process within the structure and the people within the structure. So ultimately, you can have a BDC, but I've been to more BDC funerals than BDC births. And some of you all have killed multiple BDCs. There should be a BDC protective society out there. Because these poor people, they have to have counseling. It's post-traumatic stress syndrome. I was working at a BDC, and let me just tell you how bad it was. One day they came in, all right, the people in white outfits, and they just sanitized us, closed it up. Well, the fact is, it's more about the people. And we've got to get into a better recruitment strategy. So I know hierology is here, and I do a lot of work with my clients in hierology. And they've actually taught me, I'm like that guy with the razor blades. I said, I like hierology so much, but I don't really know how it works. Would you help me set that up in my company? And they did, and it works. It's wonderful. But ultimately, what really sold me on it was how to recruit. And this came to me one day. Our office is 2 blocks from the University of Kentucky, and we went over to a job fair. And I said, we're not going to use the same words that we use in the car business. We're not going to say automotive or any of those things. We're going to use the words that these students love to hear. Digital marketing, internet, online, social media, all those variations that they've been wanting to unleash on, we put on our banner. Everybody came over there. We gave them t-shirts. I've applied at Kain Automotive. They love that. It really became a nice opportunity. So I look at ads that my clients run, and I look at ads that are just out there on Monster, Indeed, and all those other sites, and I look at the words. And I want you to think about when you're considering a job. Can you imagine your husband or wife coming home, and maybe some of y'all can imagine and go back to those days and say, honey, I got a job. I'm going to be selling cars. And the good news is I get paid, but it's a draw. So they're going to give me $1,500, but at the end of the month, I got to give that back. But in exchange for that, they're going to give me this thing called commission. And they told me that if I don't go in the hole, then my commission will be pretty good. But if I do go in the hole for 3 months, then I got to quit. And the wife is sitting there going, I don't think so. We got kids. I don't think that's such a good idea. So we give credit to millennials, but I've loved the word salary for a long time. When I recruit, I use the word salary. I love the word bonus. I like the fact that dealerships are not calling guest customers anymore, but guest relations. And it's not necessarily sales, but assisting. And that's why we're getting our lunch eaten by these dealerships that are coming in like Carvana and CarMax, they're recruiting these people who are afraid of the words on the left in favor of the words on the right, and they're out selling us because they're not selling customers, they're assisting customers. And it's not the showroom anymore, Darren, is it? It's the internet, and that's really where it is. Rewrite your job ads and you'll be surprised at the quality of the people who are able to come in and apply for them. Additionally, I operate 3 Internet 20 groups. 2 of them are Internet BDC Manager 20 groups, of which Christian is a member of that from Planet back here, and the guys from Shop are a member of another 20 group. But we trade ideas, and one of the greatest ideas I learned was how to onboard employees properly. Well, we found out successful stores, and we've studied them, takes 3 weeks to onboard properly, and that's really critical. So ultimately, getting them up, teaching them the processes and all those other elements is going to take some time. Give them the tools that they need so that they're in a position to where they can really learn how to do the things necessary, how to read a lead, how to find out if the customer has a Facebook account, how to see if they have 165 friends that you can also influence, and then be in a position to where you can help them succeed with their tactics. And the tactics are great because I like this dealership. They're easy. Talk well on the phone, write nice emails, and do good videos. Here's a dealership in LaGrange, Georgia that only has 19,829 videos. I visited that store and set up their YouTube account in 2009. They do 2,500 videos a year, one every lead that they get in. And manage your process. I'd be glad to give you access to a tool that you can use for free and do your own process reviews to improve your tactics and improve your performance for your team. Now, technology is omnipresent. Jonathan talked about it this morning. We need to realize that these little smartphones in our hands are the greatest tools possible to sell cars. This is a legitimate text that I personally received from a salesperson when I was buying a car. I loved it. It was cute, clever, and inspiring, and I wanted to go buy the car from the guy. We've also got to leverage our team and do daily social hours and teach them how to market effectively in today's environment. This onboarding process should be about social media too, building their network, building their team, helping them grow, and then measuring everything they do with a good metrics underlay. Where do their opportunities come from? Where do we sell them? And are we making money at the end of every pay period? So that's what we teach to help you get to success. What I would encourage you all to do is to hit me up for the tools that I've talked about. I'll be glad to give them to you. It might be more valuable than that $100 steak gift certificate, although not far ahead. But just a quick question for you all. Did you pick up anything that might be useful? Yes? All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Fantastic job. Give it up one more time for David Kain. Thanks, Tim. Fantastic. A ton of action items out of that. I love just the language thing, and it ties exactly back to what Todd Smith was saying about language. Eliminate the word hope. We make plans. We set expectations. I love the idea of the daily social hour. Get your team together, right? Let's brainstorm. Let's post. Let's be purposeful about this. And I think the most important thing we learned was use the feed my babies clothes. Very important. So if you don't have a lot of children, go get some photos, whatever it takes. And I appreciate David's willingness to share all of his stuff. He's got some really neat tools that are out there.